Who is St. Nicholas?
Let's talk about that. Well, who is St. Nick? Well,
Jolly old man that gives out gifts.
Yes, Santa Claus, as we all know him, the big man, the big red suit, puffy white things on him. I don't even know what you call those. But today we were talking about Santa Claus, since it's kind of getting to that time of year where, you know, it's the holiday season.
Let's talk about what Santa Claus's alter ego is. Like, you know, Batman has Bruce Wayne. Find out who Santa is really.
Well,
who do you think?
I know in the beginning, let's go way back.
Okay, way back in the...
For Santa Claus.
Yes. We should have got some popcorn.
Kris Kringle was actually the original name.
Yes.
This is a fact. Kris Kringle was actually the original guy, and if I remember correctly, the story of Kris Kringle is that he gave presents to the poor.
Yes.
Is that how?
If we're thinking correctly, yes.
I think that's how it was.
And do you think his brother was Johnny Appleseed?
I don't know. I don't know his relations.
For some reason, I thought of Kris Kringle. All I could think of.
To tell you the truth, Kris did not have elves. He didn't have helpers or anything like that. I think he just had a Santa. I think he just had a big bag.
So do you think
presents.
he is like Teen Santa?
I think he could be Teen Santa. I think before the scruffle, before this.
This is before, before he got his.
I think Kris was a young man who. I think he was a caring guy. I really do. I think Kris Kringle was kind of a caring guy. And then for some reason, then his name became
Santa. Or St. Nick.
And now his name is
Santa.
And I think it's the myth that surrounds Kris Kringle. So that's where we take that off from. So now where do we go?
So we gotta get from Kris Kringle to St. Nick. How is that? So okay, so let's say Kris Kringle's around what? His teen years, maybe his 20s. Saint is like 30s and 40s. So why did they change his name?
And why did he give presents to the poor? Was it just because he's so giving? You know, there's a lot of people who don't like.
Maybe he was poor.
People. Maybe he was poor.
And he was just like, you know, I'm gonna
give my stuffed animal to somebody. Because they didn't have TVs, so they're like, here. Or cell phones. They didn't have cell phones. So it was like, here, I want you to have my stuffed animal.
Thank you.
In exchange for
your happiness.
For your happiness, yes.
I
it's weird because like they took what was true about Kris Kringle, and now they've turned it into a jolly old man who goes on a sleigh and delivers presents with reindeers
and says ho ho ho.
And elves work at the workshop.
Now I think
that's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's a really big, weird, evolving thing. But you know, when they say ho ho ho, I think they really wanted him to go ha ha ha. But then they just wrote their A's really funky.
Somehow there's a typo.
Like guys, like I'm gonna write my A's really small. Like, are those A's? They're O's. So it says ho ho ho. That's how that happens.
I could see that because even when I write my A's, they look like O's.
They look like O's sometimes.
Yeah.
And my E's look like C's. Don't ask me how, but that's how it happens. But
that probably did happen. I would not doubt it.
So we figured out why he says ho ho ho. It's just because of a typo of ha ha ha.
We kind of figured out how
he's got started.
He may have been how the myth of Kris Kringle started.
So we need to figure out where Kris Kringle and St. Nick link still. How did
the elves get involved?
That's probably where St. Nick when St. Nick comes in. Now there's jolly old St. Nick. So that's when the jolliness came in.
Yeah.
So he probably got more plump, don't you think? When I think of a jolly guy, I think of a plump guy. I don't want to
plump guy.
Yeah, plump guy. Like he's not
a chub.
He's not Santa, but he's just plump.
He's husky.
Right on the money. So
husky.
Husky is So where do the elves?
Where do the elves come from? Well, I think the elves. See, I don't know. I think that's where the mythology starts to take place because I don't know. Because it seems to me like a guy like Kris Kringle was a regular individual, decided to give the poor some presents, and somehow they got elves involved into
them small
the story.
People.
Yeah. Maybe they were tall people. Maybe they were tall workers, and then they shrunk them down throughout all these stories that we hear.
Yeah.
And now they're
so they were actually giants.
Maybe they were.
No.
They were like
St. Nick was a slave owner.
They were 6'5".
No, they're slaves. Elves are slaves.
He's got slaves. That's terrible. That's terrible.
I know, but it makes sense. But I don't know how they get short and green though.
Together. Him
So,
having slaves.
Kris Kringle grown up to be a slave owner. I
Yeah.
I don't know if we should go with that story.
I don't think so.
Okay,
let's not continue
let's
that.
backtrack.
The elves, though.
But no, I could say they're tall.
No, I could say that they are tall, though. I think somehow
They're probably
throughout all the myths, throughout all the stories, they've. You know how, like, if you tell somebody something, and then they tell the next person, and that's next to
telephone.
the next.
Yeah, the game telephone.
Yeah,
that's
like the telephone game, and something leads to the end, and that's not what they said at all.
So
it could
this
have been
probably
like
could have just
that.
his buddies.
There's been so many stories of Kris Kringle that now he's just a big fat guy who has a white beard and has elves working at his home.
Kris Kringle's probably grown up. He's like, dude, I can't get presents to all these people, so I gotta have some buddies help me make some toys. That's where the elves came in. They're not actually elves. They're actually
full size humans.
Yes,
6'5" humans like you.
So these normal sized people,
they're like avatars. They're these 7 foot tall giants. They're blue.
No, they're humans and
big gigantic blue Smurfs. He's got blue Smurfs working.
And so, but I don't. Okay, so if they're normal size, and then when they get, I don't. So throughout the years, they just like, hey, let's just make these people short and make them sing songs while they ting with their hammers. So let's find out where the green and red came in then. When did that come in?
See, I think the green. Well, obviously, it's got to be off in the trees.
Okay, that makes sense.
I don't know. I think that's kind of a stupid answer, but
no.
I think that solves it. You know, it's the green trees. I don't know what I really don't know what other things could be green that could inspire. I don't know how to put it. But.
The more I think about it, I think Santa has slaves and he sneaks into people's houses at night. So maybe he's a
pedophile.
Maybe
Let's
Kris
put it
Kringle
that
is a
way.
criminal.
Maybe Kris Kringle was actually a pedophile and didn't actually, instead of giving it to them, to presents, he went in their chimneys or through their windows and actually delivered the presents.
Maybe they're just decoys because he's actually stealing all their stuff.
That's the
I'll
mystery.
steal little Sally's boots,
There's
but I'll
the
give her
mystery.
new ones so she doesn't know. There's something. This could be a twist on the story.
There
of
could be
Christmas.
so many different analogies about this. So many different scenarios.
Okay, so the green is from the trees and red are from what?
Well, that's where Mrs. Claus would come in.
Oh.
Maybe it's like Mary Jane who inspired Peter Parker to put red into his suit because she had red hair.
So
maybe Mrs. Claus
is
had
a
red hair. She's a ginger.
So that's why Santa Claus wears red.
And that is why it all comes together. Because she was a ginger.
So,
or maybe it's because he liked her lips so much that he's like,
I
need red.
I need red.
And who made this suit for him? Was it Mrs. Claus? Because a lot of people said it's Mrs. Claus, but I really don't think it was.
If we're going back to the Peter Parker thing, he could be like, I can just visualize this Santa montage of
sewed
him
it himself.
drawing it and like designing and sewing it.
Because he's stupid. How did my shoe get untied?
So next one would be reindeer.
Reindeer. Okay.
Where does the reindeer come in?
Gosh, this could go on forever.
There's so many things to analyze.
The reindeers.
Do you think like St.Nick was like hunting, and he's like, and then they just start flying. We're like, what?
Right.
Whoa! Like they can fly?
I don't know.
And then he just popped in. That'd be perfect.
See, I think that's where the mythology comes in. I think that's where the fantasy comes in. Is that?
Or we just go back to the telephone thing,
I think it's the telephone thing.
So he probably just used horses.
He probably just used donkeys.
They're like,
rode on one donkey as he had
Rudolph.
this big bag. Yes, named Rudolph. Didn't even have a shiny nose.
No.
Had a bag over his back.
It did when he punched him in the nose for being a bad donkey.
He was very anorexic.
Yes.
And he didn't have any facial hair. And he was riding it on.
That's the true Santa. We should draw a picture of the true Santa.
I think that would conclude our whole episode.
Okay.
But before we say that, before we do that, if you guys have any questions, any thoughts about the mythology or whatever you want to call it as St.Nick.
Baby. And he has a big sack. Or that came out wrong. Edit that out. A big satchel. There's his elf.